going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jets Report. I am your host, Patrick Siepman. And coming up on today's show, with the NFL draft less than 1 week away, I want to go over my top 5 draft targets for the Jets at pick number 7. A lot of these are obvious, but also I got a couple of curveballs in there for you guys. So stay tuned throughout this entire video and check out my top 5. But before we dive into it, if you guys are excited about the NFL draft, I cannot wait. This could go any number of different directions for our New York Jets. If you guys are fired up, hit that thumbs up icon down below. I put today's goal as 250 likes. So if you guys haven't already, hit that thumbs up icon if you are fired up for the 2025 NFL draft. All right, my number 1 draft target. Took me a while to decide on who I have number 1 between Armin Membu and Tyler Warren. But I am officially saying that Armin Membu is my number 1 draft target for the New York Jets. And I think the biggest argument I can make is if you draft Membu and he ends up working out, and let's just say Fashanu, he looked good in limited action last season, you have your offensive line of the future. Now, yes, you are going to have to pay John Simpson, Elijah Vera Tucker here shortly over the next couple of years. But if you would have those two at the interior, Armin Membu and Fashanu, if they're your tackles of the future, like this offensive line would be one of the better ones in the National Football League. And also, I think drafting Membu at pick number 7 would completely change the Jets' offensive identity. Because a lot of fans are saying, man, we don't have a true wide receiver too. How are we going to throw the ball consistently this upcoming season? I think if they took Membu at pick 7, you're going to see this Jets offense turn into a run-first, punch-you-in-the-mouth style of play. And with Justin Fields being that dual-threat quarterback, I actually agree with it. Lean in the Breece Hall. Lean in the Braylon Allen. And if you shore up that offensive line with Armin Membu, I could see the Jets honestly having like a 55-45 split in favor of the run compared to in favor of the pass. But Membu this past season at Mizzou, awesome production in the SEC. 0 sacks allowed this whole past season in 827 snaps, 90.4 overall grade, pass block 85.4, run block 87.6, and only had 4 penalties, on the season. And, Membu, he's getting a lot of, Trent Williams comparisons. He's got a lot of Rashawn Slater in his game, and I think he could, be a very, very solid right tackle of the future. And I think if you're thinking about, like, Aaron Glenn, Darren Mugi, everything they have talked about this offseason of, like, being a more physical team, getting more committed to the run, winning in the trenches. If you could have a prospect like Membu fall to you at pick number 7, I think that would be a home run selection for the Jets. Now, you just got to hope that the Patriots at pick 4 don't reach on him. I don't think they will. I think they like Will Campbell a little more, or you got to hope that the Jacksonville Jaguars and Las Vegas Raiders don't pick him at 5 or 6. But if he is on the board at pick number 7, I would be thrilled if the Jets landed him with that slot in the 2025 NFL draft. But the guy I spent a lot of time debating who should be number 1 on my list, Tyler Warren, Armin Membu. It was tight, but I did lean Membu, but Tyler Warren would be another home run pick for the Jets. And honestly, if I wanted to go a safe route here, I think Tyler Warren is a much safer pick at number 7 compared to Membu. You may be saying, well, how is a tight end a safer pick? Do you really want to take a tight end top 10 of the NFL draft? Well, when it comes down to the prospect Warren is, I do. Because besides like Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, number 3 for me in terms of guys, I guarantee will not bust, it would probably be Tyler Warren. This guy is a physical freak. He reminds me of George Kittle, Rob Gronkowski, these big physical tight ends who also play with a sense of just swagger, and they just have a physical personality. Like, they add some toughness. They add some grit to your offense, and he would be an immediate upgrade in the run game, in the pass game. Pretty good inline blocker. He's obviously a weapon with the football in his hands. I mean, Penn State was running him out of Wildcat at certain spots. And also, if the NFL is going to keep the tush push, Tyler Warren wouldn't be a bad tush push guy as well. But why did I decide to go Membu over Warren? Is mainly just draft positional value here. Let's just say they do go Membu in round 1. You could pick up either of these two guys in round 2, and I think they'd be home run picks. Now, I'd love to get Colston Loveland, but I think he'll be a top 15 pick. But you could pick up Elijah Aurora at pick number 42, LSU tight end Mason Taylor. He would be another good selection for the Jets in the second round. And, I like the other offensive tackles you could get at 42, but I think Membu is such a, there's such a gap between him and, like, another tackle you could get at 42. I would rather lean Membu in round 1 instead of going Warren, and then you kind of got to reach out and tackle in round 2. So if you could land, like, let's say you go Membu round 1, get either of these two guys, I think that would be an A-plus first 2 rounds for the New York Jets. But you're on the clock, pick number 7. And I'm assuming this will be the case. I'm assuming both these guys will be on the board. Pick one to draft. Who are you taking? Give me an AM for Armin Membu or give me a TW for Tyler Warren. You guys let me know who you are taking at pick number 7. Now, a guy who I think is very unlikely to be there at pick number 7. That's why he's number 3 for me. But if he was on the board, like if it was Membu, Warren, and Mason Graham all on the board at pick number 7, Mason Graham would be number 1. And the reason I decided to add him to this list, even though I think it's unlikely that he is on the board at pick number 7, is because the Jets are doing a ton of work on Mason Graham. The Jets have spent a considerable amount of time with Graham. They had a formal interview at the Combine, a dinner the night before his pro day, and now they're having a top 30 visit with Mason Graham. So they're putting a lot of work into him. It kind of makes me think that the Jets are at least considering maybe trading up with Jacksonville to go land Mason Graham, and plus Graham and Williams on that defensive line would be one of the best, combos that, we will see next season in the NFL. But, my take on Mason Graham, I think there's a less than 1% chance Graham is there. But if he is there, you rush to the podium. Like, I think he's a blue chip player. I think he would be a monster, perfect fit next to Quinn and Williams. Both of them can do everything you would ask out of a defensive lineman. And, what an easier job, or how to make Steve Wilkes' job a lot easier, is you tell him, like, hey, we'll be able to get home with 4. Mason Graham, Quinn and Williams. You got the 2 young edge rushers on the perimeter. If you would just have those 4 just try to get after the quarterback, like, that would be an ideal situation for Steve Wilkes, because then he could get creative with coverage in the back end. You tell your corners being like, yo, you only got to hold up for about 2, 3, or 4 seconds. I love the idea of Graham. And plus this guy at Michigan, he's just been a stud. He has been the definition of a franchise-changing player at the collegiate level. He added that sense of physicality to the Michigan Wolverines, and I think he could do the same thing with the Jets. Because Michigan, what has kind of been their MO over the last couple of seasons? Is like, hey, we are a more physical team than you are. Because this past year, like, Michigan had, no disrespect to the quarterback, I could have done just as good of a job at the quarterback position than who they had. But they still went into Columbus, beat Ohio State, and I think a big reason was that because of their physical culture, and that starts with having physical football players, which Mason Graham is the definition of that. So him and Quinn Williams on the D-line, if he's available, you take him and run. But how about a little trade down target? And honestly, if the Jets took him at 7, I wouldn't be upset whatsoever. Colson Loveland. Now, let's just say hypothetically, like the Patriots throw us a wild curveball, and they go like Tyler Warren at pick number 4, and then like Membu goes to the Raiders at 6, and the Jets are kind of sitting there. They don't love any of the selections, and, maybe they try to get a trade back option. Well, I think the Indianapolis Colts could be one of those teams. What if they're looking at Shedeur Sanders and they're like the shocking team like the Falcons were this past season? They're like, yo, we're going to come trade up, for Shedeur at 7. I think the Jets should 100% take that call because you would get a good haul. You get another second-round pick. I think you would also get another fourth-round pick. This could be also a similar situation how the Jets played the Vikings last season where they were just kind of waiting and waiting and waiting. And the Vikings want to ensure themselves of getting J.J. McCarthy, so then they just tossed a future 4th. I could see that being the same thing. And Colson Loveland, like, listen, I understand the raw numbers aren't going to blow you away, but the physical just traits that he has, 6'5", crazy bend, soft hands, he can take hits over the middle of the field. I really do believe this. Even as much as I love Tyler Warren, I think Tyler Warren's going to be a top 5 tight end the day he steps into the league. I think Colson Loveland is just below him, but they are still on the same tier where I believe Loveland will step in day 1 and be a top 10 tight end in the NFL. He is an absolute stud at that position. I think he is a legit offensive game changer where I think the Jets could run a totally different look than what they could without Colson Loveland. You could split him out wide. Yes, he would maybe struggle being an inline blocker at first, but that would just come with him kind of adding some more grown man strength to his frame and just, playing against NFL players over and over again at practice. That part of his game will develop. Just in terms of a pure pass catcher, man, I mean, honestly, if you had to rank all wide receivers and tight ends, it's Tyler Warren 1, Colson Loveland 2 for me. And then there's a gap between like the Matthew Goldens, the Tet McMillans. Like, he is truly that special at that position. But I do want to talk about this guy, Jahdae Barron. Now, I was talking to producer Dylan, and we were just chopping it up saying, what's going to be the surprise pick? And not just in terms of the Jets draft, but the entire NFL draft. I think it could be Jahdae Barron at pick number 7. And this feels like an Aaron Glenn pick, where, new head coach, maybe he's talking to his new GM, Darren Moogie, and he's saying, man, I think this Jahdae Barron guy, he's going to be a top cornerback in the NFL. So also give the Jets a little insurance if they do decide to let Sauce Gardner walk, or maybe they try to get a trade done for him. You just have that young corner kind of working his way up in the system, and then you would get at least one great year of those two in the secondary. I mean, Steve Wilkes and Aaron Glenn, they would have a field day with them. But in coverage, I mean, the man was a stud. 16 PBUs in 16 games with 5 interceptions is ridiculous production for a college corner. Targeted 67 times, only gave up 36 completions, a quarterback rating of 33.1, which is ridiculous, but no touchdowns allowed this season for just 279 yards. I know a lot of us would freak out if Barron is that pick at number 7, but I think I would honestly have to put some trust and maybe some blind faith in Aaron Glenn and Darren Moogie, where I would just believe that they're going to get the most out of this guy, and we're not going to look back and being like, man, why were the Jets even considering taking Jahdae Barron there? I think it would end up working out, but those are my top 5 guys. If the Jets leave the first round with any of those prospects, I would be thrilled. But you guys let me know. Who's your dream draft target for the Jets? I'm going to get your thoughts down below in the comments section. And then a friendly reminder, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be breaking down every single pick here on the show for the New York Jets during the NFL draft. So hit that subscribe button today. We'll see you guys next time. As always, go Jets.